Hi, I'm Mike with House on the Mend, and in this video we're going to be performing a kitchen sink facelift with the help of this Ryobi Caulking Gun, specifically the P310G. So let's zoom in and get started.
If you break it, he will fix it. If you buy it, he will build it. House on the Mend.
So a few days ago I was doing some dishes and I had one side of the sink filled with hot soapy water, and I began noticing the caulk was pulling away from the sink and the granite. And upon further inspection, not only is the caulk getting old and worn out, but the sink is also drooping, which tells me we probably have to get underneath into the cabinet and tighten some of the mounts. Now, to remove the caulk, we're just going to simply use a very sharp utility knife with a fresh blade. I also like these 6-in-1 tools to scrape off some of the harder areas. Then we're going to clean the entire sink with some mineral spirits to get it ready for the caulk. In this case, I purchased this Red Devil caulk made for kitchen and bath, and it's in the color of black, which is not available right off the shelf in any of our Home Depots locally. So I purchased this on Amazon, and I think that'll do a much better disguise of where the sink meets the granite. All right, with a fresh utility blade, we just want to start cutting that old caulk right off of the sink and any that might be stuck up here on the granite itself. And we're going to go all the way around the sink doing that until we can remove all of the old failing caulk. Well, that's quite a bit of caulk there. It's time to clean up the sink, and then we're going to go ahead and clean the whole perimeter of the sink with mineral spirits. All right, when it comes time to use mineral spirits or any other kind of solvent or cleaning material, I always recommend that you put some rubber gloves on. All right, gloves on, mineral spirits on a clean rag. It's not going to take much, and we're just going to start going right around this perimeter to get any kind of soap scum off of there, any buildup of any grease or anything that would prevent a good bonding of the caulk to the surface. We want to remove. That looks pretty good. Now while that has a chance to dry off a little bit and off gas, let's get down underneath the sink and start tightening up the brackets that are holding the sink down. I think they're really loose. So I got everything cleared out from underneath the sink, and as I got under there, you can see here I ran my hand along this bracket that is used to secure the sink up to the sink basin in two spots, and this back screw here was completely loose, and that's obviously our big problem. So we got to get up under there and tighten it. I got a 7/16 ratchet here. I'm going to put some pressure on that sink and then slowly tighten that bolt until it's nice and secure. While I'm at it down here, I'm going to check the other side because I think there's a loose one over there as well. All right, let's talk electric caulking guns. So I've had this rigid here for probably over 10 years now, and it is a workhorse. You can see there's construction adhesive and stuff all over it. Now both of these are very similar. You have the handles for the plunger here, you have the batteries connecting on the bottom. Both of them have a dial where you can dial in the amount of flow. I would always start with the lowest setting. You can always increase it because once they get going, you're usually having to set these down on a paper towel because the pressure in these tubes starts to come out when you're first getting them going. All right, they also both have these little pokers here, and that is to pierce the inner lining of a tube of caulk if it has one. One of the major differences between these two is the rigid is meant for a 28 fluid ounce tube of caulk and can also manage the smaller 10 fluid ounce tubes. This guy is really big and clunky when you're trying to do fine work like around the sink today. So I think this a smaller Ryobi that's only able to use a 10 fluid ounce tube of caulk will be much less cumbersome when working around the sink. Now, unboxing it wasn't very interesting because there was nothing else in the box, so we'll skip that part. But let's first get this tube of caulk ready to go and be placed into the caulking gun. So you can cut this tip off with a razor blade. I find it a little bit more safe to just use tin snips just like that. You get that good 45-degree angle. Works great for me. And then take the little included little poker here and pierce that inside seal, and you can see a little bit of the caulk coming out right there. So we'll just take our napkin here and just wipe that off. Right back in place, and then just support the gun, pull back on the handle, and the plunger comes all the way to the rear, and then we can just set our bottle in. Then take up the slack by pushing forward until you see the tube of caulk make contact with the front of the cylinder housing. And we're ready to go. We want to start at the slowest mode here. You can always speed it up to make the caulk come out faster, but always start slow and work your way to that perfect sweet spot. All right, we're finally ready to lay a bead here. So let's get set right where we want to be here to start. And you judge the distance and the speed by how much is coming out. There we go. Now, like I said before, you're going to want to set this down on a paper towel so that you're not getting caulk running all over the place. Now, there's all kinds of tools out on the market for smoothing out a bead of caulk, but you've probably heard this before, absolutely nothing compares to your finger. You can feel the thickness, you can just finesse it so much better with just a finger. So I don't use any of those caulk spreading tools. And there we go. All right, one last thing for our kitchen sink makeover. This tired old handle here has the chrome plating actually peeling off, and as you can see here, the bottom is just completely corroded. So we're going to switch it out with this brand new one that I found on Amazon, and I'll leave a link to it. But it's almost a perfect match, just a little smaller. So I loosen the fitting here. It should just screw off. There we go. And there's an old grommet and screen up there. I'm going to dig that out and change it. Oh yeah, that guy's nasty. So here's our fresh grommet with a screen attached to it. I'll put that in there. And I'm just going to thread this guy on. And there we go. Nice. So I've had the opportunity now to use this Ryobi caulking gun for 2 months with all different styles of caulk, to include the kitchen and bath, which I demonstrated earlier in the video, the window and door, in which I had this occasion to caulk the outside of a security door after running some wiring for a Ring doorbell. And finally today I also used a masonry adhesive to apply these caps to a small pony wall. And in all situations, this caulking gun worked fantastic. I found the battery consumption to be very low. As you can see here, I used a 1.5 amp hour battery in this case, and after about an hour of usage, it didn't even drop down 1 tick mark. So I believe you could get by with any sized battery, whatever's more comfortable for you and whatever you have on hand. The auto retract feature on this caulking gun works really well also. It takes a slight amount of pressure when you release the trigger off of the plunger to prevent any spill out from the tip of the tube of caulk. In my case, it worked perfectly. I never had a single amount come out of the front of the tube of caulk. I will say if you're in a higher altitude than we are here in Las Vegas, 2,100 feet, you may still experience that just because of the atmospheric pressure that's applied on a tube of caulk in higher altitudes. As far as the speed setting goes, I never got past the second out of the 5 hash marks that you can slowly dial back and forth into. So I don't even know what it would do at turbo speed, but the first and second area of hash marks worked perfect for me. Now I'm going to leave links to everything that you saw in this video. Full disclosure, they are affiliate links, so if you click on anything and end up making a purchase, it doesn't cost you any money, but I do get a small reward at the end of the month, which helps to justify the time and the money it takes to make these videos. Speaking of these videos, if you like them, will you please give it a thumbs up? It really helps out. Also, please consider subscribing. I work really hard to put out good content, and there's more videos to come. Until next time, thank you for watching.